Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Adam, looks like it's just me and you tonight. Chike's out. What
Yeah,
did
yeah,
you?
yeah. I'll hold it down. So I saw a couple of things, and as I mentioned earlier, I had some family in town, so most of my watching was stuck to streaming. But I saw the first thing I saw was the Hulu original movie Boston Strangler, and this stars Keira Knightley, and it follows kind of that true story of the Boston Strangler, who in the '60s in Boston killed 13 women. And Keira Knightley plays the reporter who started to investigate the case with another reporter to figure out who's doing these murders, why they're doing it, and how they could be caught. And there's been a podcast on the Boston Strangler. There's been stories and lots of other shows and things about that. I have never actually knew much of the story. It's a very interesting story, though. And this person did murders in Boston, but then years later there were other murders in other cities. And not spoiling too much because this is something that happened several decades ago, but you learn that it might have not just been one person. And in the storyline, they find out this one person needs they do the confession, but it's really a series of people who may have done these murders either as a copycat or as something else that just got rolled into the Boston Strangler. So it's a good movie, definitely one of those movies you watch and then you just read a little bit more to make sure what parts were accurate and what parts weren't. But Keira Knightley does a great job playing this reporter in the '60s and really tracking things down, and you get a good aesthetic of how '60s in Boston felt and that sense of fear, because it really did give people a big sense of fear in the neighborhood. People were buying locks, young women were moving out of the neighborhood because everyone was just worried about this person, the serial killer that could be coming after them. So definitely, if you're a fan of crime dramas, look this up, watch it on Hulu. If you have the subscription, it's free to watch. The other thing I saw was a Netflix original movie, and it is a sequel to the Last Kingdom TV series. And I think Chike's watched the series. I've watched a few episodes, and I know it's a hit Netflix series, basically a British show that follows the story of of like in a Viking, not in Viking invasion, but it's the Vikings in England during the 866 time period, and how they interact and how the different kingdoms of England were warring with each other and uniting. And they finished the series last year or a couple years ago, and they decided to make a movie to kind of wrap up the whole story. And this movie is called The Last Kingdom: Seven Kings Must Die. And it stars the people from the original series, and it follows the storyline of the King of England has died, and now all of his children are vying for power, and how this again Viking navigates the structure and helps the correct people kind of get into power and avoid the troubles. So I've actually never seen the series, but I did watch the movie and I was able to follow along. There's a lot of stuff they did in the film that really got you up to speed, got you ready to go. They put a lot of plot into this, but the pacing was really well done. It was about 2 hours long, and the action moved forward quickly enough that you didn't feel like you were too confused or you didn't know what was going on. So I highly recommend it. But again, I will actually probably start watching this series because it seems like a really good series. It's one of those I think that came out near the end of the Game of Thrones time period, so may have gotten a little lost in the mix or really picked up an audience that was looking for more of that kind of drama. So Seven Kings Must Die, again, highly recommend. That's a fun one, and it's on Netflix if you have it.
Nice, nice. I want to talk about Love is Blind. So I had seen the other seasons and I saw it was on Netflix, but I wasn't in a hurry to watch it. And then someone was telling me, you must watch it, it's so good. So I binge watched it over 2 days leading up to the reunion. And so the premise is 15 men, 15 women, They go into this home, but the women on one side, men on the other side, and they have these pods that you can go in and talk, but you don't get to see each other. And so over the course of the time they're in the pod, they, you start going after the same person, you're looking for the same person. So so they're trying to see, can you fall in love with someone without seeing what they look like? So if you're successful, you can propose to the person in the pod. And then once that part is over, they send all of the couples I think they sent all the cast to Mexico. And that's so they could really see the people they were talking to for the first time. But you already picked your partner, right? So are we going to make it through Mexico? If you make it through Mexico, then they send you to your normal lives. And so people have to figure out, where will we live, where, whatever. So you find a lot of times when they meet in person, sometimes the person's not their type. You know what I mean? And so there's some people they still go along with just to see. But then anyway, so this season, 3 couples did get married. The fan favorite is I just had their name. I should know this. Oh, the fan favorite is Tiffany and Brett. They instantly hit it off, like from day one. But they got married. Everyone knew that it was going to work out. Like there was no drama literally with them. They had to create drama on the show. You could see like he had an issue with his tux right before the wedding. They had to. You could tell.
Yeah, a little bit of forced. Yeah.
But then there is Kwame and Chelsea. Now, I don't know why I was not shocked. A lot of people online don't think that he really likes her, and I'm thinking why. But they got married. And then there was this other couple, Bliss. I think his name's Gary. So in the home, he had picked another girl. He told Bliss, she knew he was dating 2 girls in the house, and he broke up with her. And he was crying when he broke up with her because he really liked her, but he also liked the other girl. So when him and the other girl meet, like when they went to Mexico, she could tell she did not like him. They clashed. He ended up leaving Mexico. He went back and found Bliss, and he won her back, and they ended up getting married too on the show. But there was some controversy. So there was this guy, Marshall, and this other girl, I can't think of her name, Stacy, I don't know. But she did him dirty. So she fell in love with him in the pod. They meet in person, and she said on camera, not to him, that he's not really my type. I really like tall guys with tattoos. But she liked him, so she was going along with it. Well, towards the end, they have some party towards the end of the season, and one of the guys that she had 2 guys she was after, him and this other guy, Josh, I think. She likes Josh. She does not like Marshall. I think he was just too real for her. You know what I mean? And so she ended up breaking up with him and getting with the other guy. But it was the way she did it. Like, she lied on social media and said that she broke up with Marshall before she met up with Josh. But she said to him, I just met with Josh. She told him that. So you're lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So, but they did dirty. So anyway, they had the reunion. This is a year later. So the couples have been together a year later. All 3 were still married. And they were able to address things that were done on the show, stuff that was on social media, because social media is a big part of it. The girl who did Marshall dirty, her and the guy, they're still together, Josh, they did not come to reunion. They did an interview privately with Nick Lachey's wife. What's her name? Vanessa?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Well, Nick Lachey, Vanessa, yeah. They want them gone, Nick and Vanessa. They feel like that Vanessa asked stupid questions, and Nick's just there for the money. and they didn't like the way that, like, at one point she was asking the women when they plan on having children. Women didn't like that. Why are you harassing women about children? Kind of thing. People are very sensitive. But there was a couple, I think it was their first season. They got married and they're still together. They've gone on and wrote books, and everybody loves them. They want them to host this. Think they should host the reunions moving forward, because there is a they're trying to get Nick and
Yeah, it's so funny. I've heard that Nick actually, when they're together, he's just like awful, like just kind of static, like kind of generic. But
Mhm.
when he's by himself, apparently he actually
Yeah.
has a little more personality, and he actually like seems like a good host. So,
Mhm.
yeah, very interesting dynamic with them.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it was really good, and I'm glad all three couples are still together. And I think I think I saw another couple got married after the show, like after the season was over.
Hmm.
Um, so what they met on being the cast, but they got married outside of that. But yeah, but it was definitely a good show. It's just interesting because you think of I like the way they break up the dynamics. Is one thing you're just meeting them and you're just hearing them. And so can you fall in love? Then you're going back to see everyone else that you talked to on
Hmm.
in paradise in this Mexican resort. Then you're going back in your day-to-day lives where some people live some people live in Seattle, some people lived in Portland. You know what I mean? Where we're gonna live? And then you get to see how they keep their homes. Kwame's apartment was trashed, clothes everywhere, you know. Um, so that real
Oh
life, they
boy.
meet families, they meet friends.
Hmm.
Um, sometimes the friends don't like the person or the parent. Like Kwame's mom, she didn't want to come on the show. She didn't come to the wedding because she didn't like the fact that he wasn't marrying an African woman, and that she didn't like the way that he went about meeting this woman. But they
Hmm.
said on the reunion that they are good now and that she's met the mom and they had great Thanksgiving, whatever, whatever. But yeah, it's just interesting the dynamics. I need to see before I say I do anything. I need to see.
So you're not signing up for the next season.
No, that door open, anybody does.
uh Now, what were your thoughts? Netflix is trying to do this whole live thing, which really, to me, doesn't make sense. What do
No,
you?
it doesn't.
I mean, obviously there was a big glitch, but like,
Yeah. Oh
why?
yeah.
What's the value of this live show?
Well, they've never done anything live, right? And so, um, it was interesting. Well, they had one live. What
They
was the
did the
live?
Chris Rock show live.
That was live, and then this is the I think second live thing.
Hmm.
Rick Rock show went fine. This one didn't, and it was funny. Um, Netflix tweeted, "Love Is Blind reunion is coming," something, and Bravo tweeted, "We'll never keep you waiting for our reunions." But we used to do live shows, but then we started having all these technical difficulties, and I was like, what? It's just easier just to pre-record it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
I mean, there were times we're waiting to go live, and then the server's not connecting, or one time we go too long in a segment and the guest hangs up. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's just
you
too
know,
many. Too many
yeah,
things that
yeah.
can go wrong. Um.
But yeah, but so I didn't. Luckily, I wasn't impacted by the delay because I was on the phone running my mouth, and so when I went to go watch it, it was already up. But I saw
Mhm.
all the craziness on Twitter and social media. People were heated.
Yeah. They will turn on you quick.
Yes, yes, but it was good. I don't think that they held that girl. I think her name's Stacy, the one that did Marshall Daughter. I don't think they held her accountable.
Mm.
Vanessa didn't. She interviewed them, her and the other guy. She didn't hold him accountable, and then they kind of put Marshall in the hot seat, But anyway, but the
Yeah.
good thing was, so Brett and his wife, Brett, he made our best. He met his wife and a new friend because Marshall and him became friends. Marshall came to their wedding. He supports them, so he's gonna find his woman. He's gonna find his
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah. Um, and then before I forget, have you finished up Abbott Elementary for the season?
Is it over?
I think so. I mean, I think they've had the full run of 22 episodes,
Oh yeah,
but
it is. You're right. It was over. Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah.
yeah,
That
what'd you
show
think?
is gold. That show is gold. I hate how they're dragging out this romance.
Yeah, so that's just what I was about to ask you about. They led up to it, and then at the end of the season, they did a good like out to see how things go. But
Yeah,
I guess the question is, and I can understand why, because no need to force these things, and this is
right.
kind of a TV show trope. Do you think if they did get together, it would be would it be hard? I mean, it would be different to write. Would it be harder to write? You think it would lose some of that funniness?
Well, they would have to definitely come up with something, some other thing to kind of focus on. But it was similar like when on The Office, when that
Mhm.
couple got together, they still were able to do the show, but it was their back and forth too, you know what I mean? Um, I mean, I believe that if they get together, it's gonna be on the on the series finale.
Really, you think they'll drag it out for that long? Because I mean, as long as they still have it in them, I can see the show going on for at least 5 more seasons.
Yes, it is really funny. I mean, hilarious. It was funny. The woman that plays the principal, the
Hmm.
comedian, so she made a comment recently about Dave Chappelle, and she said that his concerts the performances aren't funny. People come to laugh, and it's not really funny. And I saw also put the comments. All right, girl, I like you, but you better shut up and get canceled.
Well, I will say to her defense, I think I haven't seen I guess the last David Chappelle stand-up show I saw was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It's too long between the punchline, I think, is what his
So,
problem is. He's going off and off and off and off, and then you're 10 minutes in and you get the joke, and you're watching like a 60-minute program, 6 jokes. I think that's the problem. He's gone too long, just speaking, and he hasn't learned to
yeah.
tighten up his act.
Well, Monique, she just had her special out on Netflix, which I watched. It was an hour long, and she got mixed reviews for hers as well. But I don't think hers was intended to be a slap your leg laugh. She was really telling the story. And as she
Okay,
tells the
yeah.
story, she would throw in certain jokes. But it was really like I was on Instagram the whole time. And every times I would laugh, but it wasn't like some more. Hers, I was balled over, falling out. Monique's, it wasn't. She did have moments that were funny, but you tell it was more of a telling a story. And my best friend Ty said, well, they don't call it a comedy special.
That's true. The branding needs to be redone. That does make me think too. We saw Abby and I saw Craig Robinson, from The Office
Mhm.
and Hot Tub Time Machine and everything like that perform.
Yeah.
And he had two good opening acts, stand-up comedians, and he goes on and he's funny, but it was like he played his music most of the time, like played songs, and it was almost like a karaoke style thing that had
Okay.
funny things interspliced with it. So again, it was one of those. I was expecting more of a stand-up routine and getting something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. So
So
I
you
think
never
that's
know.
That's what threw a lot of people from Monique, because some people said I tried to watch it twice, I just couldn't do it. And but I watched the ones. I thought it was good. I think what she tried to accomplish, she did. But
Mhm.
again, people were expecting, because you watch the Queens of Comedy or other comedy shows, they're like funny, funny.
Yeah.
This one more telling her story. And she touched on a lot of things. The takeaway was that she because there've been a lot of rumors about her and her husband about them swinging and whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. And she had said in a recent interview that they don't do that, and she said it wasn't like they were doing it all the time, but they don't do it at all anymore because they've grown so much together, and they've built something, and they don't want to jeopardize that pretty much.
Mhm.
But she was saying in the comedy special that she alluded to a aunt she had. They called her uncle something. She was gay, right?
Mhm.
And how her grandmother, who was the aunt's mom, how she could never really love her publicly because of her religious beliefs. And Monique had these feelings of liking women and men, but she
Mhm.
saw the way that her grandmother treated her aunt and didn't want her to treat her that way, because she said her grandmother would do anything for her, loved her. And she said, so what she would do was she would she became very promiscuous, and she joked about that. She said, I wasn't that much of a hoe, but I was a hoe. And promiscuous, and she when she was married 3 times, and her first 2 marriages, she ran it, and she was making all this money from the Parkers and all that. And then she met her husband now. The people wonder why she calls him daddy. She said because she learned she should be more submissive. But she said that she was laying in bed with him, and she said, I need to tell him about these feelings I have, because they've known each other apparently forever. And
Mhm.
so he said she got the nerve to tell him, she was beating around the bush. She finally told her, she said, he looked at me so passionately, was so caring. He said, me too. He wants another woman too. And so, but then
The
she was,
delivery, yeah.
yeah. She said so passionately. And so, she was almost crying. Then she said, bitch, me too. But anyway, so but it didn't make much headlines, that secret or whatever that she's
Yeah.
bisexual, whatever. I don't know. But she said she couldn't be a full-on lesbian because after the woman finished pleasing her, she's getting up. I ain't touching that. I ain't going down there.
Well,
But
this
yeah.
sounds like a comedy special, I guess
Right.
is what I
Yeah.
would call it. But yeah.
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 Yeah. Anyway, and they coming down the pipeline?
Nothing on my radar at the moment, but I'll keep an eye out for what's next.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you as always, and I hope you have a great week. And we will be right back after this.
Thank you.